one clarification, we're not the largest business-to-business office supply company in California. Actually, we're the fourth. Staples is number one, Office Depot's number two, Office Max number three, we're number four. We're the largest independently owned one. So, and there's a big gulf between number three and number four. We're still a relatively small company, but we're a fast-growing company, and we continue to be a fast-growing company. So I think what's unique about our company is our central stakeholder is not an investor. It's the community that's served by the nonprofit organization. So our business model is based on taking care of our business customers. That's got to be first. And any company that's sitting in here understands that's got to be your first goal of any business, that you need to meet the needs of your customers. So if we can do that, we make a profit. Our goal is to use that profit in a way that is compatible with the best interests of the community. And the way we feel that that's best done is to have the profits that we make donated to the organizations that are working in the community in all the areas that are of concern: environmental concern, health issues, educational issues, crime, homelessness. All those things that every community has as problems are being solved to some degree by nonprofit organizations. So what we do is we take our profits, we send a ballot to every one of our customers, and the customers get to decide from the ballot which of the organizations are the ones they consider to be working most effectively on the most pressing problems. So our Sacramento customers distribute our Sacramento profits to Sacramento nonprofit organizations solving Sacramento problems. Okay, that's the business model. So within that community as stakeholder model, obviously sustainability in the environmental sense, which includes the waste stream, it becomes a very different matter. I mean, the issue of how you run your business in a more responsible way, the definition of responsibility is it in the best interest of the community as a whole, and not does it violate the stockholders' needs for a return on their investment. So we've eliminated that. We've eliminated that obstacle when that becomes an obstacle. So in the course of running our business, we're wholesalers essentially. We don't manufacture any of the products that we sell. All the competitors sell exactly the same stuff. So we have some control over what products we sell by the influence we exercise over our customers, but oftentimes we have no control. And in that case, we offer the customer the choice, but we also have mechanisms in place, including on our website, that tries to encourage the customer to make simple choices between products that have a better environmental footprint than other products they may be. So if you were to go to our website and you were to buy paperclip A, if the paperclip B and paperclip C have more recycled content, we would immediately show you the cost benefit of making that choice and make it easy for you. Because our experience is that customers oftentimes are not willing to go too far out of their way in making an environmentally better choice. But if you put it right in front of them, it's easy to do. So we facilitate that because that's our interface with our customers. But let me just also say that the making your company more environmentally responsible really requires expertise. And a company our size, you know, we don't have a lot of that expertise. So we went out and bought that expertise. We got to the size at some point and we realized that if we really want to be serious players in the sustainability area of our business, we need to go find somebody who's an expert in that looks for every opportunity we can as a business to green our supply chain, to move our customers in a more progressive direction, to fix ourselves in terms of, you know, the fleet that we use and working with a more environmentally friendly fleet. And so we went out and found that person. So ever since that person's been on board, we have been just inundated with all kinds of initiatives, both inside and outside. And let me just explain some of them. So it turns out that when our fleet of trucks goes out every morning, I mean, everything that's bought yesterday is going to be delivered today. That's the nature of the office products business. So they're going to go out on trucks that are filled with merchandise, and used to be those trucks came back empty. Well, we figured out, well, why bring those trucks back empty? We know that companies like ours and our customers have lots of e-waste, old computers, monitors, printers, and all that kind of sitting around, figuring out how to get rid of this stuff. So we basically went and got certified as an e-waste recycler or a collector. So now our trucks go out and come back filled with old, junky computer stuff. And then it goes into our warehouse, and then certified recyclers that are certified technically by the state of California come and take that off our docks and go send it through the waste stream. Well, you know, it didn't require anything other than just making our resource that was already deployed available to produce this additional benefit. It was simple. And the customers really liked it. The other thing we do is now we reuse the boxes that the merchandise is shipped in. Customer gets 15 boxes of a shipment. We pick up those 15 empty boxes tomorrow. We send it back through our supply chain to our distributors. They restamp them as a reused box, and then it comes back to us the next couple of days. And they usually last 5 or 10 cycles before they kind of just fall apart, and then they get recycled to the regular recycle. So decisions like that, and there's a lot of decisions that we've made like that. Decisions like that are made because they do not in any way conflict with the central interests of our principal stakeholder. If it's good for the community and we can make a profit doing it, or it doesn't detract from the profitability or survival of the company, and it doesn't conflict with the interests of the consumer, we have every incentive to do it. So we're always looking for those things. One of the most interesting things, the ones that I think we've gotten in place now, is we're one of the largest suppliers of recycled paper in the Bay Area. We've been the contracted paper suppliers for the city and county of San Francisco for 9 years. They buy 6,000 cases of paper a month from us, all 100% post-consumer waste. And then Oakland also buys, I think, 30% post-consumer waste. So we sell massive amounts of copier and printer paper. Well, it turns out our principal supplier that private brands that paper is a company named Boise, one of the biggest manufacturers of paper. They're also in the process of rebranding themselves as a more sustainable company. So they came to us realizing that we had leverage in the marketplace, and we've worked out a program where every case of paper that we sell, of their paper, even to the people we've been selling to for years, $1 is donated to the local food bank in the county that paper is delivered. So, we just delivered a check for $12,000 to the San Francisco food bank, and, it came from kind of nowhere. Really, nobody got their price raised. They've been buying the stuff. So it's a way for us to leverage a wholesale relationship to meet their needs to be branded more as a sustainable product, to allow our customers to leverage their buying power with recycled paper. And everyone's concerned about the food banks and poverty and hunger, because this is a very difficult time for many people. So it's like a win-win-win thing, and it's one of those things that was easily cobbled together. It's hugely successful. As a matter of fact, we were worried about being too successful because, it's going to drain from some of our other donation initiatives that we do every year. But, this is a program that from nowhere can generate a couple $100,000 of resources to the food banks without anyone paying an extra dollar, and it's consistent with its two principal partners. So my point is that those kinds of decisions flow from creative ideas that are focused on meeting the interests of your principal stakeholders. And when your principal stakeholder is the community served by the nonprofit world, all kinds of interesting things come into play. And if you've eliminated most of the obstacles to making the right decision, you do lots of funny, interesting things.
Thank you. I'm really struck at the kind of the complementarity of both of your approaches. Mike, you talked about a lot of these things really didn't require any significant changes in business practice. Took asking a different question or noticing a different opportunity. There's a truck coming back empty. What can it carry? Robert, at Kaiser, in contrast, it's a much more complex issue because you have medical and health considerations and some significant changes in product composition, for example, that you're driving. One of the questions from the audience is, how does your product evaluation team balance price and clinical and environmental goals in selecting suppliers?
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to emphasize is that really, our environmental focus needs to be and is just incorporated into normal business processes. So this isn't really, I wouldn't describe it as an entirely new capability we've built. We had an existing capability with clinicians and business people deciding what were the right products for our patients and for our physicians, and it's that same organization and the same thought process they go through. They just have one more criteria that they have to consider when they're going through that process. So they evaluate the products. We do clinical trials of products to see how they perform and get direct feedback from our clinicians and physicians. That defines the clinical performance. We get pricing proposals. We evaluate the service of the suppliers, and then we evaluate through tools like this disclosure form the environmental performance of those products, and that factors into the decision process. And I have to say, I know one of the sort of discussions is, what's the conflict between, costs and environmental goals? And I have to say, through driving this process effectively, in the vast majority of cases, we really don't see a conflict at all. I mean, if you can focus on all those factors, you can find that there are a lot of environmentally preferable products available in the marketplace, and they do not have to be more expensive at all, and they can be just as good clinically performing. And I can list a whole range of examples of where we have switched to alternative medical products which have been either clinically comparable or preferable, and where the cost savings have been less. And I mean, just last week we moved our contract from buying halogen surgical lights that are in the OR that the surgeons use within the OR environment, and we moved our contract to LED surgical lights. So these LED surgical lights use 40% less electricity, and they have no mercury. There's no mercury in the bulbs, so significantly fewer toxins within the products. And there are some other environmental benefits of these as well, including the heat emission from the lights is significantly less from LED, so you don't need to cool and control the temperature of the OR in the same way, so your air conditioning units can be there's less power on those. So there's a number of benefits. And we saved 20%. I mean, we drove an effective sourcing process, and we got the cost down by 20% as well. The surgeons love them. They are very choosy about the quality of their light. You can imagine when you're doing surgery, you're not going to do anything but the best. So they found this technology superior. It was environmentally superior, and it saved us 20%. When it comes to medical products, we rarely see a conflict in these things. We're very effectively able to drive improvements in all of those areas. I think there are some non-medical, more. I mean, if you look at something like styrofoam cups, there are some areas like that, non-medical products, where I think the cost of the material going into the product is a significant proportion, like 70% of what you're actually paying. And therefore, by changing the material of the product, you can see significant price increases. But for medical products, typically the cost of the materials going to the products is more in the 10 to 15% range, because there's significant R&D investments and other incorporations in what you're actually paying. So by changing the materials, you're actually not impacting the price that much. So we've got about 36 success stories of major shifts in products that we've done over the last 2 or 3 years, and all of them except for one was either a cost neutral or a cost savings for us as well. So there's plenty to go at.
And in our experience, that same kind of result is borne out in industry sector after industry sector. Probably the thing that correlates most with whether a green initiative is going to cost more is whether you assume that it will, as most people do. Most people assume green is going to cost more and sort of take it from that, and others assume it doesn't have to. There doesn't have to be a cost hit or a quality hit, and then you start asking different kinds of design and procurement questions, as you're seeing here. So thank you for that. Mike, another question from the audience. Recognizing that waste is created when people make a buying decision. What you get, what its recycled content is, what its packaging is, determines to some extent what the waste stream will be. And Give Something Back understands that well. Are you able to pass this thinking on to your customers to not just buy environmentally preferable, but in many cases to buy less? And does that conflict with your business and sales goals?
Well, I mean, actually, in some ways, it does and it doesn't conflict with their goals. I mean, our goal is to serve the community. So sometimes you have conflicting goals. But it's not unusual for a salesperson on a regular basis and doing an account review with a large customer to consolidate purchases of things that they don't need. I mean, that's good for business because, first of all, it makes a solid relationship with a customer if they realize that you're kind of on the same page with them in terms of what their interests are. I mean, we're a customer-oriented company. So if we can convince a customer that they need to reduce their spending by 20% without having any operational consequence, we're heroes to them. And, when the Staples guy comes in, they're going to basically not invite him in because they're going to feel good about us. So, and also, people want to do the right thing. I mean, the customer really wants to do the right thing. If you can provide a pathway to make a more environmentally sound decision, many customers will find their way to that path. Now, they're not, they may not be able to figure it out themselves because they got complicated jobs and it's not on their radar. But if you can point to them a simple way to make a small change in the way they procure, and the difference makes a difference to them in their consciousness of what their company's contribution is, they will find that. So one of the things we do with all customers that buy, I think, more than $1,000 a month of stuff from us, is we have quarterly reviews to evaluate their carbon footprint on the products they're buying. We identify opportunities where they're buying toxic products and they can buy less toxic products.